ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। जय गुरुदेव।
जय गुरुदेव। ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः। श्री भगवानुवाच मय्यासक्तमना पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं मां यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु। ज्ञानं तेहं सविज्ञानम् इदं वक्ष्याम्यशेषतः यज्ज्ञात्वा नेह भूयोऽन्यत् ज्ञातव्यमवशिष्यते। मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिद्यतति सिद्धये यततामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन्मां वेत्ति तत्त्वतः। भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकार इतीयं मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा अपरेयमितस्त्वन्यां प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे पराम्। जीवभूतां महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत् एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय। अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा मत्तपरतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय। मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव रसोऽहमप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि शशिसूर्ययोः। प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु शब्दः खे पौरुषं नृषु। पुण्यो गन्धः पृथिव्यां च तेजश्चास्मि विभावसौ। जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु। बीजं मां सर्वभूतानां विद्धि पार्थ सनातनम्। बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमताम् अस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम्। बलं बलवतां चाहं कामरागविवर्जितं। धर्माविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभ। ये चैव सात्विका भावा राजसास्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः एभिः सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम् दैवी ह्येषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते न मां दुष्कृतिनो मूढाः प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमाः माययापहृतज्ञाना आसुरं भावमाश्रिताः चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनः सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्त एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम् अहं स च मम प्रियः उदारा सर्व एवैते ज्ञानी त्वात्मैव मे मतम् आस्थितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमां गतिम् बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभः कामैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया यो यो यां तनुं भक्तः श्रद्धयार्चितुमिच्छति तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां तामेव विदधाम्यहम् स तया श्रद्धया युक्तस्तस्याराधनमीहते लभते च ततः कामान् मय्यैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसाम् देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धयः परं भावमजानन्तो ममाव्ययमनुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम् So we had seen yesterday verse 24. I repeat the verse once again. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavamajananto mama vyayam manuttamam. Those who lack discrimination, not knowing my limitless, changeless nature, beyond which there is nothing greater, look upon me who is formless as one endowed with a manifest form. Lack of discrimination denies recognition of Ishvara. Abuddhayaha means those who have insufficient viveka. The negative particle a here means inadequacy as used often in an expression such as I have no money. Everyone has intellect, buddhi, but if they lack viveka, they are called abuddhis, people of limited discrimination. In the context here, they are devotees, but because they are abuddhis, lacking in discrimination, they look upon me as Vishnu in this particular form of Krishna. Avyaktam mam vyaktim apannam manyante. They look upon me who is avyakta as vyakta. Avyakta has two meanings. Shankara takes it here as aprakasha, not known as an object. It is not accessible to any means of knowledge we have and therefore is not known directly. The other meaning of avyakta is unmanifest. Because they lack discrimination, they look upon me as now endowed with a particular manifest form. Manyante Vyaktim Apannam. I am considered to be Lord Vishnu who was in heaven, Vaikuntha, and has now come here as Krishna. Ishvara's real nature is not known. Why do they consider me as Vyaktim Apanna when I am Avyakta? Because they do not know my limitless nature. Mama param bhavam ajnanantah. They do, they do not know my limitless nature, the nature of Paramatma. So it looks as though what is avyakta has become vyakta. The word vyakta can be looked at in another way. The nature of Paramatma, Ishvara, is always vyakta, always manifest. It is always available, nitya aparoksha, for the following reasons. Any experience is imbued with the very nature of Atma. Whatever be the experience, there is presence of consciousness, the nature of Atma. A given experience is of an object which was previously away from you and has now come into the range of your experience. Since it was not there before, it will not be there in the same form the next minute. The object can also be a thought form without a corresponding external object. Whatever be the object, in the experience of every object, one thing is invariable: experience. The object is a qualifying factor to experience. Without a particular object, there is pure experience. I read once again as there was a breaking of voice. The word avyakta can be looked at in another way. The nature of Paramatma, Ishvara, is always vyakta, always manifest. It is always available, nitya aparoksha, for the following reasons. Any experience is imbued with the very nature of Atma. Whatever the experience, there is the presence of consciousness, the nature of Atma. A given experience is of an object which was previously away from you and has now come into the range of your experience. Since it was not there before, it will not be there in the same form the next minute. The object can also be a thought form without a corresponding external object. Whatever be the object, in the experience of every object, one thing is invariable: experience. The object is a qualifying factor to experience. Without a particular object, there is a pure experience. Just as through all the beads of a necklace runs one thread, similarly, in all forms of experience, what is always present is consciousness, the Swarupa of Atma. Is it away from you? That is it Paroksha? Is it perceived by you as an object, Pratyaksha? If it is, it was not perceived previously, and therefore later it won't be perceived. This contradicts our experience of ourselves. Atma is not an object of perception, much less an object of inference. All inference is because of the presence of Atma. Therefore, Atma is neither something remote that is inferred, paroksha, nor an object of perceptual experience, pratyaksha. That is why it is called aparoksha. It is immediately known yet not perceived or inferred. So it is that which remains the same, and because of it only we have the experience. So it is our Swarupa of Atma, which is always theirs, which is self-evident, which is self-effulgent. And all the inferences are there only because of the presence of Atma. It is not like an object. If you want me to read once again, please let me know. Or if you want to share. An orientation can persist after knowledge. One who knows this contemplates upon the knowledge, constantly recalling me, Parmeshwara, to his mind. This recollection is always preceded by listening to the Shastra, Shravana. Unless you have already collected an experience, you cannot recollect it. Parmeshwara is understood through the Shastra. But even after exposure to the Shastra and analysis of it, one can still have the orientation that he is the body. This is called Deha Atma Buddhi. There is a difference between an orientation and a confusion. A simple confusion requires clarification only once. Suppose you use the wrong key to unlock the door. You immediately understand the confusion because the door does not open. Therefore, you choose the right key and confusion is resolved. There is no further problem. But suppose a door gets sealed off and a wall is erected behind it. Even though you know there is no longer a functional door there, out of habit, you will try to open it for some time. Then you remember yourself. This is an orientation. For me, this problem is very visible. There is an internet instability. I repeat, for me, this problem is very visible. When I travel by car, I always sit in the passenger seat. In India, I know the cars have the right-hand drive and that I'm supposed to go to the left door, not to the right door. But when I go to India after being in America for some time, I go only to the right door. Why? There is no confusion. I know what is left and right. I know in America it is left-hand drive and in India right-hand drive. But still I commit a mistake because there is an orientation. When there is such an orientation, you have to remember it does not go away just because you have resolved the confusion, nor does it go by a single recollection of what you know. The notion that Atma is the body and the body is Atma is what we call Dehatma Buddhi. This confusion is resolved by the Shastra. Once it is resolved, you should not have any problem. But we see that the problem continues. Either the Shastra is not properly understood or the problem continues because of orientation. Even in one life, so many years have been invested in this notion. How are you going to remove it just because someone said Tattvam Asi? The orientation has to go. So one thing is very clear that because of Janmo Janma conditioning, we still remain in Dehatma Buddhi. So that has to go.
Can you read that part where he talks of the difference between confusion and orientation? I think it was in the beginning
Yes.
of the para.
Yeah. There is a difference between an orientation and a confusion. A simple confusion requires clarification only once. Suppose you use the wrong key to unlock a door. You immediately understand the confusion because the door does not open. Therefore, you choose the right key and confusion is resolved. there is no further problem. But suppose a door gets sealed off and a wall is erected behind it. Even though you know there is no longer a functional door there, out of habit, you will try to open it for some time. Then you remember yourself. This is an orientation.
So if the door is sealed off, if you're using the wrong key to open the door, recognize that you're using the wrong key and you use the right key, that is confusion clarified. Is resolved. The confusion is resolved. But here he's talking of a door being there that you use to open, but that is sealed off, but you still go back and you want to open the door. This is much like I think doctors here may understand the phantom limb, and after amputation, the feeling that the limb is still there is still pain that they experience in that limb that is not there at all. Probably that is the orientation that is being referred to here. It's something called phantom limb. That is, if a person's limb is amputated for several days, sometimes weeks after that, also, although the limb is not there, there is no way he can have any sensation of pain over there. But he continues to have sensation of pain from that limb. That is called the phantom limb. So, like this door is sealed off, and you're still trying to open the door out of habit. Similarly, when you extrapolate it to the body, we know that the Atma is not the body, is not, but then we still get that orientation. We identify ourselves as we say Atma is the body. And subtly in that sense, we are not able to see Atma as Nitya Aparoksha. We are not able to see Atma in every aspect of our experience. We are only holding on to that limited body mind sense complex.
Yeah, my one more thing I noticed here, Brahmaraji, the wall is erected. So I believe, as per my little understanding, that because of the ignorance, we have created a wall, we have erected a wall, and that is so strong that even though you have a key to unlock the door, but still you cannot enter because that is you have created it, so you have conditioned that wall so strong. That is what I feel, that it is also like your dehabhyas is so strong that you are not able to enter only because that is there is a wall and it has got sealed off because of that wall. Am I right in that my understanding? Because of the ignorance, that wall is erected.
Yeah, well, if that's a beautiful perspective, Bela. But in this example, he is trying to connect us with a wall, with a door that we are used to opening every day.
Mm.
There is a wall that is created there. And in spite of that, we still go back to that. There is no more wall, there is no more door. There is no
Mm.
more door, but because of our habit, because of our previous vasana, we keep going back and trying to open that door. So it
Mm.
is that purva abhyasa. Similarly,
So
in that
very
example
nice.
that Swamiji was giving, he's saying he was used to sitting on the right side while in the US and on the other side now here in India. But because of his repetitive
Mm.
doing it, he out of although he knows in his mind that he has to sit on the other side, but out of force of habit, he goes back and sits on the same side. So it is this
Mm.
force of habit that is what is being pointed out here. Is that, like you rightly pointed out, throughout so many lifetimes, we have this identification with the body, that I am the body, I am the mind, I am this, I am that. So we are not able to, although Shastra tells us, hey, listen, you are Atma, you are Satchidananda. We only know it. But because of our repetitive recognition of who we think we are, which is false, we keep going back to that recognition. We live in this world from that recognition. We fail to see that we are that. Although we have said Tattvamasi, we are not able to realize that Tattvamasi because of this habitual orientation.
Mm.
Your analogy of the wall with the ignorance is perfect. It's very good. But I think in this example, that wall created over the door is only to say, bring in the aspect that we get so habitually oriented to things that we get used to over so many days, lifetimes, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. That is why we are not able to feel that sayujyam, samipyam of
Yeah,
Ishvara. Hmm.
exactly. Because all along we have been thinking, I am limited. Aham alpajnaha, kinchignaha. I'm insecure, so I need to seek security outside. Whereas
Hmm.
if that in Brahma Jnana Vali Mala, Vedanta is dindima, is like roaring, and saying, hello,
Hmm.
you are that. You're not able to realize that.
So beautiful. Very nice. So there should not be any confusion now. There should not be any orientation which has been conditioned. It should be very
Exactly.
clear. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
dropping this orientation, which is why this Pura Abhyasa is so strong. It is like skin getting attached to our body. We have to gently peel it off with care, with proper understanding, which is where Shastra is required. The Guru is required there. Yeah.
Very true. Very beautiful. How does one correct the orientation? So how do we correct that dehatma buddhi? We still have that body-mind perception of our own self. So how does one correct the orientation? To help remove this orientation, we need the exposure to the teaching, direct or indirect. Then there is what we call Brahmabhyasa, which consists of dwelling upon that Tat Chintanam, talking about it, Tat Kathanam, mutual discussion among seekers, Anyonyam Tat Prabodhanam. Contemplation is also included. Living with the knowledge in this way for a length of time is remembering, Smaranam, and it is absolutely necessary. This is so important word, Smaranam. If you want to feel that Sayujyam and Samipyam of Ishvara, constant Smaranam is necessary. Okay. This is to be done as long as necessary. Shankara says elsewhere, Satatam Smarati Nityasaha. Nityasaha means always, and so does Satata. Why does he use two words with the same meaning? Satata has the sense of without any interval, remembering Ishvara constantly. Remembering here is spending one's time in contemplation, in dwelling on the truth of Ishvara as revealed by the words of the Shastra. The word Nityasaha also means always, but it has the sense of a length of time. You can dwell constantly for 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, or 1 year. So, constantly for how long is this to be done? For this, Bhagavan says, Nitya Saha, for a long time. The affix sas on Nitya gives meaning of abundance. Nitya means always, and adding sas to it extends it. It is not a day one. I'm sorry, I repeat again. The affix sas on Nitya gives the meaning of abundance. Nitya means always, and adding sas to it extends it. It is not 1 or 2 days or a 3 year affair. It is to be done as long as one is alive. I repeat, it is not a 1 or 2 days or a 3 year affair. It is to be done as long as one is alive. But it is not an unpleasant task. It is a very pleasant affair. Constantly remembering the fact that Aham is Parmeshwara is something that one loves. It is the highest form of joy because you cannot be better than that. It is not simple self. It is not simple self-hypnotism. It is a knowledge born of Shastra. And again we dwell upon that. Somehow the mind will pose the question, how can I be Parmeshwara? It may argue, how can you be Parmeshwara in spite of a backache? You now have a contemplative theme. This is how the contemplation continues. Anything that opposes the vision has to be met with. How long should this go on? Shankara says, as long as one is alive. In the beginning, perhaps it is something that has to be done consciously. Then later, it becomes very natural. There is really nothing for you to think about. If the fact Aham Parmeshwara is very clear to you, then there is no problem. Your mind does not pose any objections, neither a mental condition nor a condition of the physical body is taken to be the nature of Atma. Things are viewed as they are. In this case, one does not need to do anything. When someone requires smarana, for how long should it be done? As long as it has got to be done, it is done. The one who constantly dwells upon me through listening, answering objections, contemplation, and even satsanga, as long as he is alive, for him I am Sulabha, easily gained, says the Lord. Such a beautiful revelation. The gain of Parameshwara is easy, Sulabha. There are a number of reasons why Ishvara is easily gained. Any accomplishment requires some effort, even wearing your clothes. Suppose you have a shirt that is a little tight. When you are in a great hurry, you would rather not wear it because it takes a half a minute extra to put it on. You want to avoid that extra time and effort. Now, suppose you need some money. You have to put in effort. If you want power, you have to put in effort. If you want pleasure, it takes some effort on your part. To create a pleasurable situation, you have to manipulate a lot of things. Only then can you relax and enjoy. And if you want to go to heaven, a lot of effort is involved. A lot of things have to be avoided. A lot of things have to be done. But the gain of Brahman is Sulabha, says the Lord. While going to Brahmaloka requires the maximum amount of effort. Gaining Brahman is no effort. I repeat, but the gain of Brahman is Sulabha, says the Lord, while going to Brahmaloka requires the maximum amount of effort. Gaining Brahman is no effort. If it is argued that always dwelling upon Brahman is an effort, it is not, because there is no effort in dwelling upon what you love. Everybody loves to stand before the mirror. Even an old man who has cataracts in his eyes and does not see well at all still stands before the mirror and tries to look at himself. Why? Because of love for Atma. So here it is not an effort, because love is not an effort. It is very natural. For a mumukshu, dwelling upon Parameshwara is a matter of love. And it is very natural because Atma is of the nature of absolute love. Any form of love extends to any form of love extended towards any object is, after all, for my own sake. That object makes me pleased and therefore becomes an object of my love. What I really love is my pleased self, Atma. I repeat, what I really love is my pleased self, Atma. And since Atma is Parameshwara, whose nature is Ananda, there is nothing more to be desired. Being absolute fullness, Atma becomes the object of absolute love. So dwelling upon it becomes a joyous thing because it is the most desirable dwelling upon. It is not a painful affair. It is a love affair. It is what you love the utmost. So beautiful. So my just small little takeaways, हर हाल में खुशी, हर हाल में joyful. Because that is the Swarupa of Parameshwara.
Also, this when you refer to the beautiful post that Sureshi has posted in the group today about the importance of meditation, this Nitya Shaha, Smarati Nitya Shaha will actually make its impact. And Gurudev says, you can give up your food, sleep, anything else, but never give up meditation. It has to be done. If you can't say, oh, if it's okay if I don't meditate for a day or two, he says it'll wilt like a delicate flower. Even after you've done it for several months, years. So meditation is the aspect of our abhyasa which connects us with that. So that's Smarati Nitya Saha. That has to continue. You can refer to, I'm not sure if all of you have read that beautiful post. You could do that when there is that correlation.
Yeah, I still have to read. Yeah. And nothing new is produced either, because Atma is already existent as Parameshwara. The result is not born of effort, it is born purely of recognition. There is no effort involved. Nothing new is added, nothing old is removed. The accomplishment is of an already accomplished fact. Therefore, it is Sulabha, easily gained. Then you may argue that the removal of ignorance is an effort. In fact, you only recognize, and in the recognition, ignorance gets removed. You do not do any action. It is purely an activity of the pramana. Therefore, it is Sulabha. The one who dwells upon me is endowed with a mind which is tranquil, contented, and under control, in the sense that it does not have any problem with reference to reflection on Parameshwara. Very beautiful. I read once again. The one who dwells upon me is endowed with a mind which is tranquil, contented, and under control. in the sense that it does not have any problem with reference to reflection on Parameshwara. So with the daily abhyasa of meditation and our nitya karma, our mind has become, antakaran becomes shuddha, raga, dvesha, rahita, and therefore it becomes tranquil, contented, and under our control. And then the reflection of Parameshwara is very clear. We have no confusion, we have no orientation. Whenever the mind is free, it goes towards Bhagavan like a person in love with someone. The mind very naturally goes towards the object of love. It does not require an appointment. Similarly, here, the mind of a mumukshu, a jignashu, will naturally go towards Paramatma, the Vastu. He has understood the nature of Paramatma as something that is not different than himself. So where else will the mind go? Until that takes place, he continues to do Shravana. Will is, will is used in the beginning and later the very subject matter takes over. Afterwards, he doesn't require any will at all. It is something like going to a Kumbh Mela. You don't require a road map. All you have to do is to get into a crowd that is going. Soon the momentum of the crowd is so great that even if you want to go back, you cannot. It becomes like a moving ramp. People from behind push you and you keep moving. You are in the stream. You keep moving and you find yourself right in front of Ganga. This is exactly what happens here. A certain will is required until you get into this stream of thinking, of understanding. Once a certain clarity is there, there is no effort at all. In the previous verse, Krishna said that these people who lack discrimination, not knowing my real nature, look upon me as someone who has a form. They think that they think I am someone remote from them who has assumed a body and come here from another place. In fact, I am the whole world and I am the Atma of everyone. This is my real nature, changeless and beyond which there is nothing greater. Not knowing me in this way, they regard me as having a given form. Shankara asked, what is the reason for this ignorance? Why do they worship other devatas and pursue smaller ends? Why do people not directly seek the Lord? Krishna points this out in the next verse. Anyone wants me to repeat any paragraph before we go to the new verse? Please let me know.
So this thing about the Kumbh Mela is such a beautiful example. Once you're on this path, it is like you're just walking till you reach Ganges. You don't need anything else. You're already on the path. Because
Yes.
everybody walking there is going to the ultimate source, to the ultimate destination. So all you have to do is keep walking till you reach Ganga. Similarly, here in the beginning, it was said, no, how long should we do? How many months, years should I do till I gain this? You continue to do. Just that the word of the Shastra, word of Pramana is what you take hold on to and continue to do it. Continue your abhyasa and meditation, vairagya, all that. And like how it was also so beautifully said, like how if you love something, you will naturally go to it. See, people who love to watch serials, do they need any inspiration to put on the TV and watch the serial? The moment they have some free time, the mind goes to that, or they make time also for that. So similarly, if we can attune our mind, The very fact that all of us who are right now here is because over the last year plus, we have got that ruchi, that we've developed that love for knowledge, and therefore, no matter what, we kind of prioritize it. And how Dr. Savita so beautifully said, this is one of the most important parts of her routine. So all of us, irrespective, it is that is which is driving us to come on, listen, participate. So that love has developed. So you don't need any other push. People
Correct.
outside might think, are you mad? You're losing out on so many other things. But then you say, no, this is that prioritization happens automatically. There is no effort required. No, how much effort is
Yeah.
each of us here doing to come on to this Manana session? I think nothing. It's effortless. So that is
Mhm.
the effortlessness that Swamiji is talking about. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
that
we
is
just have to stay put. And I mean, whatever we do, it is time. It is going to take some time. How long we don't know, but that is just guaranteed. Is Krishna guarantees it.
yeah, there is a
So with that
beautiful
Shraddha,
assurance.
that
Beautiful assurance
Shraddhavan
that
labhate jnanam, with that thing
Mhm.
in mind, tatpara samyatendriyaha. So all those three should be there. It's not like, oh, I'm fine, I'm going to get knowledge, so there's nothing that I need to know. Samyatendriya, you have your effort to do where you keep your senses in control, create that field where you're free from raga, dvesha, all that is there. That requires effort. And then you let go. Yeah.
I think that condition also, that conditioning also goes away once we are on this path. That conditioning of raga dvesha is also automatically like a sprouting. When the sprouting happens, the outer layer automatically falls off.
Yeah, you're reciting, your compass is getting redirected, no? Or your compass of
Hmm.
priorities. So automatically you see there is vairagya also happening. There is raga dvesha slowly falling off. Your raga for sleep, for instance, is come down because you're waking up early. So
Correct.
uh, all that is subtly happening at very subtle levels. But we still have a lot of other ragas to take care of. This will happen. It will happen.
That also I just surrender to Ishvara. It happens as per his wish. So don't worry. Our raga
So
for knowledge, I know.
yeah, so for that aspect of karma yoga is important. So therefore we'll do whatever we are supposed to do. Then that aspect of, oh, I like to do it, I feel like doing it, therefore I will do it. I don't feel like doing it, therefore I will not do it. All that will drop off. You will
Mm,
do what is to be done, irrespective of whether you like it or not like it. A student has to study, a mother has to take care of the household. She cannot say, oh, I don't feel like doing it today, so let me do something else. No? So
mm.
that aspect of raga dvesha will fall off as long as we're following karma yoga. So for that, karma yoga is a recipe, is our prescription.
And Shastra is our boat, sail in the samsara, ocean of samsara. Mhm.
Yeah. Shastra is like the lighthouse for us. It's showing the light, directing us there. So that Brahma, what is that? There was one thing that was talked about, is that Brahma with the
Mhm.
Shravana, constant Shravana, Manana, what is that? There were some three words used.
Yes, yes,
You're,
three things. For
you're
Smarana. Mhm.
for Smarana, right? You're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
that Chintanam, that Bodhanam, that
Hmm.
Kathanam. You're sharing, you're talking about the
Yes.
divine. So when you're doing all this, the output of this will be this Brahma Bhyasa, the thinking
Mhm.
only about him, the one, the all pervading.
Mhm.
Then that realization that he's avyakta actually, but he's vyakta in every aspect of our life. So slowly
Mhm.
that will dawn. Anybody wants to share, please go ahead.
Jai Gurudev. It's it's just like the addiction which a drug addict has to the drugs he is taking. It's almost similar. Like you can't leave it. I feel this way. Like it's just like an addiction of meditation or that morning hour, waking up, that period of uh, peace and serenity is what is there in Brahma Muhurat. Once you taste that, then you will not be able to sleep and get up late. This is like just like an addiction. Jai Gurudev.
I wanted to share here on Guruji's birthday. I wanted to do Guru Puja at the same time when Banu Didi was going to do it worldwide. And for me, I was looking at it. Oh, a desire has come up in my mind, and you know, a little bit of that kind of consternation going on. That we have on Saturday evenings long kriya at 7, but people don't come on time, and then we start about 10 minutes late and all that. We have to wait. And then I was wondering whether they would be able to come in at 6 or not. And then said that, uh, you know, even that little bit of disturbance in the mind, and they would be affected. So I wouldn't call them. But they rang up and they said that they'd be here by 6. And after that, for a long time, after the Kriya got over and all that, the next day also, my mind was going on, the desire did come up. I still have desires. But then also it was like everybody all over the world was doing Guru Puja. So what's wrong? I don't know. There was that right, wrong, still having desires, all that going on in my mind. And I was just watching all of this. And then it just happened that the volunteers called and they came and the desire got fulfilled without any effort of my own. And I don't know, I was just watching all my thought process. We did
But
the work.
having a desire is not wrong, no, Siji. He says, Krishna himself says, Kamosmi Bharatarshava, of the desires and those sattvic desires that are attuned to dharma. So having without desire, supposing you were just to sit there, would you have had this beautiful conglomeration of people coming together, doing the puja, doing the kriya and everything? No, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think having a desire there is not what is not right or wrong there. But holding on, oh, if you had this desire, I wanted to do this, and you had this held on to the desire saying the volunteer should come, and then you're feverish about it, and if it didn't happen, you getting affected by that, then yes, you are being under the influence of your desire. It's more a raga rather than just a sankalpa. But whereas here you just had a desire, it came, the thought came, and everything flowed so beautifully, and you love so beautifully, the whole thing happened. So that is not an issue. So then I don't think we should keep that self appraisal so critical, saying, oh, I'm still getting desires. You can't help but get desires, no? But whether we're acting upon every desire that crops up in our mind, that is the viveka we exercise. So if a desire which is attuned to dharma, which is good for the the betterment of everyone, so very well, so be it. Even the desire to attend the Manana session, for instance, it's a desire, isn't it?
Yes.
Ultimately, it's a desire. So the criteria here is not that you should not have desires at all. There is no time where you will not have any desire. There will be desires. As long as we have a mind that is thinking, probably only once you are, I'm not sure when if you, even Krishna has a desire, hasn't he? He says, in order to protect the good, I take birth. Isn't that coming out of a desire? In fact, the whole creation itself is born of desire. It is said, Kamasta Dagre. So it is, and in Taittiriya Upanishad it is said, So Kamayata. The creator, he just had a desire. And out of that desire was born the whole creation. So desire is not equivalent to raga.
That is Ichha Shakti.
It is, oh, thank you, Sureshi, for your presence today.
I finished
Yeah.
that and then I joined here.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
No, that's all I had to say. If anyone wants to say anything, then please go ahead.
We want to go to next verse, Brahmaraji. Can someone help to read? I will continue to share the screen. I will just read the. Should we go to the next verse or should we stop here? It is going to be 6.
Yeah, I think we'll just chant the next verse and just read the Pratipadartha.
Okay.
And yeah.
And the meaning. Okay.
Yeah.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam. Yogamaya samavritah, completely covered by Yogamaya. Sarvasya, for everyone. Na aham prakashah, I am not recognized, known. Ayam lokaha, this person, world. Mudhaha, being deluded. Ajam, one who is unborn. Avyayam, one who is changeless. Mam, me. Na abhijanati, does not know. Yogamaya samavrutah sarvasya na aham prakashah ayam lokah mudhah ajam avyayam mam na abhijanati. I am not recognized by everyone, a person completely covered by Yogamaya. Maya united with the 3 gunas is deluded and does not know me properly as the one who is unborn and changeless. The alternate reading, I completely covered by Maya, united with the 3 gunas, am not recognized by everyone. A person is deluded and does not know me properly as the one who is unborn and changeless. I repeat once again the meaning. I am not recognized by everyone. A person completely covered by Yoga Maya, Maya united with the 3 gunas, deluded and know me properly as the one who is unborn and changeless. Alternate reading. I, completely covered by Maya, united with the 3 gunas, am not recognized by everyone. A person is deluded and does not know me properly as the one who is unborn and changeless. So beautiful. So I think Bhagavan talks about the Maya, which I think we can see tomorrow.
I'm just reminded of Gurudev's question back when people were wishing him happy birthday. He says, do you remember when you were born? And do you remember when you die? There is no memory of that. So it is just like in a pot, the space was there even before the pot was created. It exists as long as the pot is, the pot is created. When the pot is no longer there, the space continues to be there. He says celebrating a birthday is like you're celebrating the mud, giving importance only to that sheath, that body. Whereas you are unborn, that space is always there. So that aspect of thing is covered by Yoga Maya, by this beautiful Yoga Maya, who I think we all have to pray to, no? We have to sincerely pray to her, please remove your shield so that we can see the truth. I think we can do Manana on this. If we can just close our eyes and then reflect on what was learned today, and each of us can share. I think each of us can share our understanding of this confusion, orientation, and anything else that is our takeaway today.
I think what I got today was that we identify with our body mind complex and therefore are not uh, becoming aware of our Atma. And then we understood the difference between confusion and orientation as to why this happens is all because of our past thought process. The orientation has been such that we have been identifying with the body mind complex. And then the difference between confusion and orientation, where you put the wrong key to open a cupboard, and then you just simply change the key and put the right key in, that gets rid of the confusion. But orientation is where you may have been in another country with a left-hand drive, and then you come into India and that has a right-hand drive. And still, when you want to sit in the car as a passenger, you go to the wrong seat because of your orientation that is there, what you hold on to in your past memory. And then one more example he gave was that a door which you used to open and go through, you have sealed that door up with a wall. The wall was erected, and then you are still trying to open the door. You forget that now you have erected a wall. So we go by our past orientations, and that makes it difficult for us to reach the level of our Atma. That is what I.
Jai Gurudev. What I interpreted was like, it's the same thing, but in confusion, that is for the initially that you do not have that Vedanta or Shastra knowledge. So you have that confusion of Atma and Anatma. But in orientation, like though you know that Swamiji knew that he had that thing that in India and in abroad, the systems are different. He knew that in similar way, we know we have that knowledge, but still because of our de buddhi, like we have been having so many lives previously, we have had so many deha, so that de buddhi doesn't let us acknowledge the Atma. It's more of it, like we oscillate between these two, and we become aware. We know, but still because of that Deha Buddhi awareness, you have that. You don't have that proper orientation. This is what I understood.
That's a very beautiful perspective, because I was thinking, so are we confused or are we only oriented? So the confusion aspect is being taken off by the pramana. At least verbally, you know, as a concept, you know that I am not the body, I'm not the mind. But it's because of orientation that you're still stuck with it. Like paroksha jnana is there, but we've not got the aparoksha jnana yet. It's getting more and more interesting, no? How in especially chapter 7, chapter 7, he is like unfolding little by little. He says, why is it so difficult? So that is given in the next verse. It is like creating suspense every time. And today, now in this verse, for instance, the one that we're doing right now, he says, why is it covered by Maya? So why am I not recognized? So he's like uncovering it like a mystery, layer by layer. Very nice. So if nobody else wants to share,
Hariom.
Yeah.
Hariom.
Yes,
I
baby.
just could not resist myself.
Please.
I just want to share that the whole Bhagavad Gita, my grandmother used to tell me that any one shlok also, if you take up for your life, it will be like a sutra. So now I realize that every shlok, every verse is pregnant with so much of meaning. I mean, we are able to make out that they are showing us the way. So in initial, when I was a kid, I could not even chant properly, but still she used to say that you just open the book and read any one verse. and read its meaning. It will be like a secret. And I'm able to see now that every time Bhagavan is giving golden keys in every verse to remember. So that satata samipya we can feel, satat smaranam we can do through those golden keys. Hari Om.
So beautiful.
I found even chapter 6 very interesting.
Mm.
And especially the part where yoga was given a completely different dimension. Like from union, we move towards dispassion with discrimination and non-attachment. And I mean, some yoga, viyoga. And I was really like, and it was like, for me, it was like a toddler learning to walk. There was so much of confusion. And then I was trying to read up till my eyes were burning to get my answers. And it was really like, it's an exciting journey that I have embarked upon.
Very beautiful. So shall we go to chapter 6? Because last 2 days we've not got enough time to read. We're just stuck in those 2 paragraphs. So yesterday we saw when ignorance makes the impossible possible. Consciousness has no samyoga, in fact. Before that, I'm just going to read the heading. Is why is sorrow so well entrenched? That is because it is the dukhi. The person who is a dukhi, who is sitting on that sense of limitation, he wants to get out of dukkha. So that is not going to happen. The moment he thinks about himself, he's going to be sad. And he'll carry this dukkha wherever he goes. Because that... So you cannot get rid of yourself. How can you get rid of yourself? You are considering yourself as a dukhi. So wherever you go, even if you go to the most beautiful place on earth, you will carry, maybe for a moment, some moments there will be some distraction, some joy, some little fleeting joy comes in that distracts you. But again, the moment you remember yourself, the dukhi that you think you are, then you are again enveloped with dukkha. This is the nature of the samsari. Now, this is the samyoga, the union between Atma and Anatma. I think, was this here that we had that confusion? I actually wrote to Nana, and he's given an answer. I think it comes in the next paragraph. Where Atma and Atma, right? I think that is the next one. I will...
It's a disparate, it's in that disparate or
There is
something
only
like that.
Atma as this paragraph.
Over here, right? Ignorance makes it.
There is only Atma. We were on that yesterday.
In that. No, okay. When I come to that, I will mention this. So here, so the samyoga is so strong. So what yoga actually is the viyoga of the samyoga. Dukkha samyoga viyoga. This being so, how is it that consciousness has samyoga? How is it that between Atma and Anatma there is samyoga? This is because ignorance makes the impossible possible. Consciousness has no samyoga. In fact, samyoga is possible because of ignorance, avidya. By definition, ignorance is capable of making the impossible possible. Avidya is capable of doing anything. It can even make a snake out of a rope and mirage water out of a desert. Ignorance can do all these things because there is a lack of knowledge. This means that the connection between Atma and Anatma, Atma-Anatma Sambandha is brought about purely by aviveka, the lack of discriminative knowledge.
Therefore, there is that dukkha samyoga is established. When dukkha samyoga is established and I understand the samyoga, then the next step is to find the way to withdraw from this dukkha. But because the connection itself is born of avidya, there is no physical withdrawal possible. The association with dukkha being born of a lack of discrimination, dissociation from the association that Krishna refers to here as dukkha samyoga viyoga can only be by knowledge. Association with dukkha is due to a self-loss, a self-confusion, and therefore a self-not self-identity. That is resolved by discriminative knowledge. In other words, I have to know that Atma is Atma and Anatma is Anatma. But that Atma is not Anatma. Therefore, there is nothing separate from me. If Atma and Anatma were two separate entities enjoying the same reality, then there would be no moksha, could be no moksha. An inquiry would just bring in one more item because of which one would feel separate. I didn't quite understand this last two here. I have to know that Atma is Atma and Anatma is Anatma. But that Atma is not Anatma. Therefore, there is nothing separate from me. What is the meaning? What is it being conveyed there? Is it that the Anatma, like the mirage in the desert, is dependent on the desert? So there is nothing separate from that desert, if you're considering Atma as desert. So
here comes the question, no? Who says that this is Anatma? Who is that? That is Atma.
Yeah.
Also, from that other point of view, that Anatma is matter. And then we come to the conclusion that matter is not matter. It is energy vibrating at a different frequency.
So we look at we see the Atma as Atma and Anatma as Anatma. But then the Anatma is not separate. It's not like a separate entity. It has its bearing. The reason Anatma exists is because of Atma. Otherwise, that is why the next paragraph mentions, if Anatma and Anatma were two separate entities enjoying the same reality, then there could be no moksha. Any inquiry would just bring in one more item because of which one would feel separate. Atma would be one entity sitting somewhere, and the many Anatmas would be something different. Again, you would have the same problem, but you would be extending it to include the separate entity called Atma. So the thing is, there is only one. There is only Advaita. The reason we're seeing Dvaita, we're seeing Anatma, is because of ignorance, because of avidya. Because avidya makes everything possible. So with knowledge, with discriminative knowledge, we have to see Atma as Atma and Anatma as Anatma. But that this Anatma is not separate, which is why when Bhagavan says, I am in everything, but everything is not in me. I am not dependent on everything. It is, I am independent, but everything is in me. There is only Atma. Unfortunately or fortunately, Anatma is never separate from Atma at any time. No thought can exist apart from consciousness that is Atma. This is so beautiful. We read this just now in chapter 7, right? While one depends upon the other, the other does not depend upon it. Viyoga means seeing Atma as distinct from Atma. Here, no, this is where Nana said, this is where we got a little confused yesterday. I will just read what Nana mentioned. I'll post it also in the group. Just give me a second. I'm just going to read what he says. I sent him this picture of this paragraph. And Nana, can you kindly throw light on the Viyoga Swamiji is explaining here, seeing Atma as distinct from Atma. He says, I think there is a typographical error. If you read Viyoga means seeing Atma as distinct from Anatma, then your confusion ceases. So what we thought was a typo error was correct. Further, you need to understand the import of verse 23, starting from verse 20, wherein Uparama is emphasized. Verse 21 highlights Buddhi Grahyam Atindriyam, which also has a bearing on Atma Anatma Viveka. Further, Pujya Swamiji talks of A and B and says one is dependent and the other is independent, which shows the distinction between B, which is Atma, and A, which is Anatma. A proper digestion of Swamiji's text is to be attempted. Best of luck and happy Manana. My best wishes to all my classmates. So that is Nana's message. I'll just post it right now. So I'm glad that we are doing this one more time. We're doing this reading one more time, because I think understanding the import is so important. So there we read this as Viyoga means seeing Atma as distinct from Anatma. Now you have a situation wherein Dukkha Samyoga itself is not there, unless you take the thought of any other Anatma as I. This is because Anatma is not distinct from Atma. This then is the yoga of Dukkha Samyoga Viyoga, which is more a dissociation than an association. I don't know. I think I'm getting into a little cycle here. I'll read this one more time. Unfortunately or fortunately, Anatma is never separate from Atma at any time. No thought can exist apart from consciousness, that is Atma. While one depends upon the other does not depend upon it. So the Anatma depends upon Atma for its existence. Atma does not depend upon Anatma for its existence. Viyoga means seeing Atma as distinct from Anatma. I'm going to read this as Anatma. Now, you have a situation wherein Dukkha Samyoga itself is not there. As in, when you see Atma is distinct from Anatma, there is no Dukkha Samyoga, unless you take the thought of any other Anatma as I. Only when you identify any other Anatma, like the body, mind, something hurtful happens to you, and you consider yourself as that Anatma, the mind, then that Dukkha Samyoga happens. This is because Anatma is not distinct from Atma.
That it is that string going on through the beads, So Atma is flowing in everywhere, even in Anatma. Means for Anatma to be present, Atma should be there. It depends on that. But Atma doesn't depend upon the Anatma. That is what it is.
Right. So because Anatma is not separate from Atma,
Atma, that is what is it.
that is the Dukkha Samyoga that is happening. And therefore, the yoga of dukkha samyoga viyoga is emphasized, which is more a dissociation than an association. The binding material could go away, but since it is a dissociation, there is no possibility of the mind coming away from Atma. Whatever, let's read further, maybe we'll understand. Whatever you are bound to.
Yeah. See, no. What is happening is, when you dissociate, what remains is Atma only, no? Because the string, you just think that the string goes on in all the things. That is, Atma is there in everywhere. And when you dissociate that anatma, Atma is there. So it is only dissociation is needed.
No, but here he's saying there is no possibility of the mind coming away from. So you're not physically separating anything here. That is what he's saying.
So, yeah,
it is only a dissociation. It is only a recognition. The mind will continue to be there. Like in the case of a jnani, he will continue to eat, breathe, sleep, do his normal work, everything. So it is not like his functioning is something different. He also requires food to eat. So maybe that is, I don't know whether that is the import here. There is no possibility of the mind coming away from Atma. Whatever you are bound to can go away, which is what happens with any happiness that depends on time and various other conditions. When the conditions change, any experience, whatever it is gone. Therefore, anything experiential is definitely dependent upon or associated with conditions, and it will go away. But if it is not experiential, if it is more a dissociation from your false association, it will not go away. This dissociation is what is called dissociation by knowledge. Jnanena viyoga.
Yeah.
There is nothing physical about it because anatma is atma. You cannot pull atma away from anatma. Nor is there any necessity to do so because atma is in no way involved with anatma. This recognition, this knowledge, which is more a dissociation than an association, is what Krishna calls yoga here. May one know that dissociation from the association with sorrow is yoga. Tam dukkha samyoga viyogam yogam vidyat, he says. So Atma, you cannot pull Atma away from Anatma. Their association will continue to be there. But what you're dissociating is that dukkha samyoga viyoga. Yeah, I think we'll read further. Does anyone?
Did you describe about the binding material?
We'll read the binding material. The binding factor is ignorance. If an association with someone or something is a legal association, then you can only become dissociated from it legally. And if the association is physical, the dissociation will also be physical. If two physical objects are brought together, they can be separated by removing whatever binding factor that closed the physical distance between them in the first place. Here, the binding factor between Atma and Anatma is avidya, ignorance. The binding factor being avidya, What removes the association is vidya, knowledge.
Very good.
That yoga, that dukkha samyoga viyoga, from which there is no question of loss, beyond which there is nothing greater, which is an end in itself, which is yourself, is not an association. It is more a withdrawal from dukkha. And therefore, it is easy, just as it is easier to drop something than to lift it. The only problem here is that the dropping happens to be the dropping of ignorance, dropping all one's false notions about oneself, which is not easy to do. It is not just a matter of surrendering them unto the Lord, as some would have us think. So it is about dropping it. It is about removing the avidya, the association. What removes the association is vidya, is knowledge. Erroneous, can I read one more para? I know we're past the time. Yeah, I think this one para I'll read. Erroneous notions cannot be surrendered. It has been said that in the present age, Kali Yuga, devotion is the easiest path. You simply surrender to the Lord and He will take care of everything. But what do you surrender? Whom do you surrender? Since everything belongs to the Lord, who are you to surrender anything? This is like my taking your coat and then telling you that I'm surrendering it to you. There is no surrendering here. Then, what are you going to surrender and where does it go? Whatever is surrendered does not go anywhere. It all just remains there as it is. If you surrender something to the Lord and He says, thank you, picks it up and goes away, then you may have surrendered something. But He does not pick up anything. Therefore, you do not surrender anything. And who is it that surrenders? Myself, you say. But how are you going to surrender yourself? This only means that you want to surrender, perhaps, because you think your ego is a little bloated and needs to be kept in check by performing acts of surrender. But who is this I that has to surrender? I cannot surrender the I. There has to be another I to surrender this I. The I that wants to surrender is the ahankara, the ego. It is a false entity. It is not aham, I, the atma. The ahankara is a notion and it cannot go away unless you falsify it. This falsification of the ego is what is called jnana, knowledge, and surrender as well. The yoga discussed here is also the same. That is a yoga that has to be undertaken. Sa yoga nishchayena yoktavyaha, meaning that it definitely has to be practiced by you. Dropping notions about oneself is difficult because ignorance is involved. At the same time, it is easy because all you have to do is destroy the ignorance. The destruction of ignorance is only difficult if your mind is not prepared. Trying to make a 2-year-old child understand that 1 + 1 is 2 does not work because the child's mind is not yet prepared. Whereas once the child has undergone the necessary preparation, it is very easy. Very, very profound and good. Living intelligently prepares the mind. So we'll do this tomorrow. So for now, we understand that you cannot really separate anatma from atma because there is nothing separate from atma in the first place. There is only one. So what needs to be separated? What needs to be done is just the dissociation. This false association with the atma with the anatma, that needs to go by dissociating with it. And how do we do that? With knowledge. It is not a physical separation. It is not something that not something that is binding that you have to remove. It is not a legal association. Sorry, it's not legal or nothing physical. It is only a false association
Ignorance.
that is only coming out of ignorance. So the only sword with which you can remove that association, that is dissociate with it, is through Vidya. Which is why Gurudev says, nothing, no practice of what you do will take you to Atmajnan. It was like a shocker. Nothing, no Sudarshan Kriya, no meditation, nothing of this will take you there. So, which makes sense. So, all that is important to prepare the mind. Because in a prepared mind, then knowledge takes place. So, in order to prepare our mind, we have to continue to do this Nitya Shaha. Our whatever sadhana we are doing. So living intelligently is the way forward. Living intelligently prepares the mind.
Yesterday I was just listening to Patanjali Yoga. In that, the sleep, the vikaras, in that the definition of the sleep is abhav se association, means to be happy with abhava. That is what is ignorance. Abhava means smallness. We do not want to get up from that, We do not want to get out of it. That is dissociation. So we have to wake up. That is, sleep is to be with abhava, the smallness. That is dukkha sanyoga again. So all are so connected.
Yeah.
Really wonderful.
So we'll stop here today. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev. If anyone wants to share anything, please, you can either share in the group or make a note of it. You can share it tomorrow. Jai Gurudev.